Roll up, come and get your cuddly toys.
Out of the way, 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 out of the way.
In the Gospels, we read the story of Jesus turning over the tables in the temple courtyard. Perhaps it's the closest we get in the Gospels to seeing Jesus express frustration in a physical way. It was the coming of the festival of Passover, when Jews would remember how God passed over the land of Egypt and led them out of slavery in Egypt. And it was an important festival, and so Jesus heads to the temple where he finds a menagerie of traders. And what does he do? He overturns the tables, he drives the animals and traders out of the temple and declares, "Stop making my Father's house a marketplace." Why? Why does he make such a scene? Why does he do that? The trading that was happening in the temple courtyard had become a distraction from worship. And for some, it had even become a barrier to worship. People were having to buy animals in the courtyard to then go and make their sacrifices. And to buy the animals, people had to have the temple currency. Imagine me as a Brit going to China and trying to buy my dinner with pound sterling. I just wouldn't get what I needed. And so the temple trade, which may have begun as a practice to enable those who didn't have access to animals for sacrifice to be able to access them, had actually become part of a system of injustice with barriers. Reflection on this gospel story might pose a whole host of different questions about worship, about economics, about justice, about injustice, about anger and frustration. But today, I just want us to focus briefly on those words of Jesus. Stop making my Father's house a marketplace. Get this stuff out of the way. It's distracting us, distracting you from God. As Christians, we have a different relationship with buildings than the Jews and Gentiles of Jesus' day did with the temple in Jerusalem. Church buildings are a gathering place and can really become sacred space to us through our encountering God, through worship, and through the lives of others there. But we can also know that God is no more present in our church buildings than all of the world. Yet buildings have a significant and valuable aspect to them for many of us. In the last 12 months, as Christians, we have been faced with learning to have a different relationship with buildings than we have done before. When we have gathered in them, we've done so under such restrictions that we are restrained from singing or even talking with one another. For much of the time, of course, we've not gathered in buildings at all. For me personally, the restrictions that we have lived in, particularly the responsibility of leading worship within them, when I have done, has actually for me been quite a distraction and limiter to being able to feel that I have encountered God through worship and interaction with the community. I wonder how you have felt if you have gathered in a building for worship. I encourage you to reflect today on what distracts you from worship and encountering God. And on noting that, what can you do to work to overcome those distractions? God bless.